What do you want to talk about? What updates do you have?
Updates that I have, I've been bringing more awareness. And one thing that I have found valuable is that shirt that you got me. Because when I wear it, people are like, hey, what is 4-year you? And I'm like, I'm glad you asked. It gives me a chance to be able to explain it. I know that's something that you had shared last week, and maybe it's because you said it and now it's standing out to me more. But yeah, just being able to explain what the goals are, and I kind of adopted some of your language with the sense of if something like a goal, a very ambitious goal, one that may seem way too big to accomplish, whatever that is, 4-year you helps you to break it down into a step-by-step process, help provide guides, some different resources in order to help you to accomplish that vast goal. And and it's 4 years that we aim for, and no matter what the goal is, 4 years should be more than enough time to do that, right? So yeah, it's been valuable, been good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're seeing traffic. Can you see traffic that goes to the 4-year you website?
I don't remember if I have Google Analytics installed on it or not. I think I do, but I never look at it.
Oh, okay. Just wasn't sure if we see increase on that or not, but yeah.
One thing that the primary metric I'm looking at is number of email subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's been any lately.
No, yeah. I know with baby coming on Wednesday, that's this coming Wednesday, baby's coming.
Okay.
So I'll be home for the next 2 weeks after that. Yes, I'll have my hands full with the baby, and yes, I'll have my hands full with helping my wife, but I won't have to do 9-to-5 job. So I'm hoping that I can cause more focus, dedication, effort towards the next steps. I know that spreadsheet that you put together with the breakdown of the time frames a couple weeks ago, I'd love to take another look at that and to really look at the next action steps of what can we do today to help for tomorrow.
Okay. A recent problem that I have, that I've noticed other people have, and is a precursor to doing the 4-year you, is the idea of knowing what you want. I hypothesize that the actual biggest problem in people's lives is that they don't know what they want. Because if they did, they would work towards it. So how can we have a system that helps people accomplish what they want without having a system that helps them figure out what they want?
Would you like to, would you subscribe to the fact that everybody has something, whether or not they've put it to paper is one thing, but that everybody has some sort of goal in their mind?
No, I don't think everyone does have a goal in their mind. I think people have goals put into their mind, and they need to have goals cultivated through external sources, whether that be spirit or people or environment or reading or experiencing new things. In my studies of this process, there is no shortcut to determining what you want. The only pathway is to try different things. And try doesn't mean necessarily doing different things, but at least doing a mental exercise of trying it on. What does it feel like? Letting it simmer for a little bit. And there's lots of things to want or to do in life. And so it takes time to mentally cycle through different scenarios and see what feels good, what resonates. People have a natural proclivity to a certain thing based on their DNA or upbringing. But to a certain extent, people are very programmable. And so if they've had a mentor or a friend or something speak into them, they're going to be more inclined to do that thing.
So I've got that. I would agree. I've got two things that pop into my head. One is one thing is a two-parter, and the other thing is a standalone. The two-parter, like the one thing is like, do you think that it would be valuable to emphasize with free? This would be part of like a free thing for the 4-year you, but to emphasize this person earned $1 million in 4 years. Click here to find out how. And like they can kind of show their work a little bit so somebody else can kind of do what they did in order to get to that same spot. So rather than having them like try and brainstorm $1 million on their own, that they can kind of browse over other people's testimonies and successes and kind of try and put that in. I know that it wouldn't be the same level, right? There's something to be said about having it be inspired by you and you run towards it rather than it being influenced by another. Like there's more skin in the game, right?
Hmm.
So that's the one thought. And the other thought was, well, and then, so that would be the free resources. And the other thought, it's going to slip my mind. I bet you it will. It'll come back to me. No.
Okay, regarding your first thought, you seem to be coming to a similar conclusion that I came to before, where I had this idea where imagine that your goals can be public and other people can subscribe to a similar goal. So it's the same idea, just different. Like essentially you're borrowing ideas from other people. And theoretically, it could get some sort of algorithm that says, well, if you like this type of goal, you might also like this type of goal. Because people who make these goals also make these goals.
I think it'll help accountability too. The person that's going through the 4-year you process, if they know hundreds of, if not thousands of people are looking at them and following them, they're going to be more enthusiastic about completing their daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly like activities.
Yeah, this is making me think of something that Jordan Peterson's program does, where he helps you write out your story, and it's guided questions, and then at the end you have the answers. And from that, I think that the purpose is to help you know more about yourself, so you know what you want and you can start to work towards your mission and purpose in life. And that's a similar concept to what I'm describing. It's just instead of it being just a question and then you answer it, I envision it being a little bit more interactive with the AI bot, like guiding you through it. And I've been doing a similar exercise myself, and that's why it's top of mind, is I've been working with ChatGPT through the angle of what type of archetype am I? So archetype is a literary term that can be applied to certain characters. And oftentimes we're many different archetypes in one person, but you can have a central one that you try to be like. And what we came up with is this idea for me that I'm somewhere between like a savior character like Joseph, a leader character like Moses, a guide or mentor character like Obi-Wan Kenobi. And so there's these different ideas of like builder, innovator, mentor, leader. And I envision like maybe getting to the point where we've got some sort of network node diagram where it helps people kind of visualize who they are and helps them drive towards who they want to be. Because really what the 4UU is about is it's about who you're becoming, not just what you're accomplishing. The things you're accomplishing are just the byproduct of who you're becoming. So, like, I'm becoming a community builder and a mentor and a system builder, but I have been those things too. And so, what are the things that someone like that does? What do they work towards? And the reason that's an interesting question to me is because instead of just asking yourself what you want to do, you ask yourself who you are, and then you ask yourself, what does someone like that do? And then you say to yourself, well, should I be doing that? Imagine a different scenario. You go to work, someone gives you a title, and they tell you what you do, and then you just do it. And over time, you start to like it. But in life, we have to give ourselves titles, we have to give ourselves roles, and then we have to give ourselves tasks. It's very similar to like with a 4UU, where it's like the idea of we have to give ourselves the questions, the desire, the worksheet, and the answers. Now, in school and at work, they give you assignments and you just do them. But in your personal life, you have to give yourself assignments. And so I'm just taking it one step further. I'm taking the analogy one step further and saying, also give yourself a title. And we can call those titles like primary archetypes and secondary archetype. Like,
I really like this, and I feel like that this gives us an opportunity to really expand. I'm gonna not the onboarding process, but the like just the experience of the whole entire thing, right? And because based off of what you're saying here, I've log on for the first time on Instagram. What's the first thing that it says? What are your interests?
yeah, or who do you want to follow?
Exactly. Yeah. Who do you want to follow? What are your interests? What do you want us to show on your For You page? What do you want us to, and try and get a feel of who that person is? And so what you're saying is how I imagine it to be something similar where, click all the things that you're interested in, follow people who you want to follow, maybe even kind of like the smokers, like you tell yourself you're not a smoker before you're not a smoker. So then when, and so like you give yourself a title, I'm a millionaire, right? I'm just throwing that out, or I'm a publisher, right, of a book. You give yourself a title, one or two, right? Whatever you want to accomplish within those 4 years. You start seeing other people and being able to track what their system is. You have the AI to be able to support. It almost seems like it's almost not a LinkedIn, not a Facebook, but it's like a whole separate realm with development, right? And similarities, but it looks and feels it look a little bit different from the others.
That's an interesting approach. I would call that the interest graph, which is like how TikTok works, where based on your interests in your interest graph, you get things shown to you. And so over time, your interest graph can be built out maybe in the 4UU where it's like, I'm interested, attributes about myself. I'm a builder. I'm an innovator. I'm a community builder. I like trail-oriented design. I like business. I like e-commerce. And so it starts to build out this like infograph of your interests and who you are. And then based on that, you start creating goals, and then if other people have a similar interest graph, their goals could get suggested to you as well. Like, hey, almost like a Seektivity type of way, where, hey, these people with your interests made a goal of visiting Glacier Park because they like adventure and they're trail oriented design, and you're like, oh yeah, I I would like that goal. I would like to visit Glacier National Park.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Mm-hmm.
or like I have a goal, say, of make my own coffee shop, and somebody else is like, huh, that sounds like a cool goal. I think I'd like to do that as well. Or start an e-commerce company, or build a product.
And it kind of sounds we're getting similar to Discord. Um, so not to say it is Discord, because you know what Discord, right? You're familiar with that.
Yeah, I just don't know how it's any different than Slack. So tell me what you're thinking.
So I don't know too much about Discord, but that from what I do know, it's like you can sign up with these different groups, and these different groups are passionate about a particular thing, and so there's the dialogue of that. So oftentimes I'll see Discords of like a video game, and so people post like, oh, upcoming updates for this game, and then like people that are really really involved, they'll be like, oh, I recommend this armor for this character, and like um so I think there's something said about that, but I think that the Discord, and maybe this is part of it, I just not too familiar. It's more of like a blogging place and not so much a like follow somebody type of thing. So I when I said Discord, I think like, okay, maybe it has a similar aspect to it, but it would be different from that.
I don't know about that, but I'm starting to get a little bit excited based on what we just talked about, because I think we may have struck onto something.
I agree.
I think it may be truly novel and useful. The idea of having a user generated place for people to create things for people to want to do that other people could subscribe to and also do, and then like rehash and make their own. And that sounds right. It's almost like Seektivity for instead of having stuff to do, it's stuff to want to do. Like it doesn't have to be tied to a location. It's just tied to like an idea. Which Seektivity is cool, but I think the time has passed for it. But we can take the learnings from it and maybe even apply some elements of Seektivity to the For Your You app, because there could still be like location-based stuff. Like, hey, I want to go to this spot and do this activity, and that's a goal.
Mm-hmm.
But the goal could also be like, I want to graduate high school, and then like somebody else's goal is I want to graduate high school with a 4.0 or whatever. I want to graduate high school with a um, scholarship or whatever. You can imagine that there would be a lot of duplicates, but there could be clumping. The software could clump and say like, you can make the exact same thing as something that's already out there, but it might suggest it. It's like, hey, this one's already been created. Do you want to see what they've done, or just start on your own?
Mm-hmm.
I'm already thinking that it's a lot of the same dynamics that the Seektivity app has that I thought about, a long time ago.
Is that one the one with the like travel routes? You don't have to pay for a travel advisor. You can just adopt whatever somebody else did for a travel.
That was an advanced feature of it, but at the core, what Seektivity was imagine that like you find something to do in your town and you can log it as an activity.
Mm.
So like you're on vacation, you find a pier and you say, hey, I found a pier where you can go fishing. So you could log it as a fishing spot. Or you find a swimming pool at a hotel, you log that as like, here's a place you can go swimming, or here's a place that you can go sit in a hot tub, or here's a place you can go sit in a sauna. Rather than say, this is a hotel that has a sauna, it's activity based, not location based. Location is an attribute of the activity, not an activity and attribute of the location. So you can think of it as like activity oriented design. And so borrowing that term for this, it's kind of like goal oriented design, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Would it seems like everybody's not
Or
everybody.
A Pinterest of like,
Yeah.
Like instead of just pictures, it's like text of people, like a structured way of people saying, I want to make this goal. And you can add pictures to it. A lot of similar type of things of the Seektivity, because every goal is like a web page almost, like a Reddit post. You can add images to it or comments, duplicate it, make it private, make it public.
Give it stars, 5-star, 4-star,
Yeah.
whatever.
Or like, and also show that like, I did this, I accomplished it.
Mm-hmm.
This many users completed this task or this goal or whatever.
There's a travel app, and it makes driving fun because so many miles get so many points, and if as soon as you get so many points, then you can get a different car.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's like if you do so many different activities, then you get a different icon option, something to that effect.
Yeah, gamification.
Yeah.
Really, it seemed like all I'm really doing is just rehashing Seektivity, but that's okay. It never got built anyway, so this is just an opportunity to build.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I went for a walk right before this, and I was talking to ChatGPT about it, and it
Yeah.
just like it asked that classic question: if you could build something knowing that it won't fail, what would you do? And man, that's a hard question to answer, or it can be a hard question to answer because the DMN part of your brain, the natural, like your brain is not your friend. It's meant to keep you alive. It's not. It's meant to just help you live, not help you dream. So you have to basically turn off certain parts of your brain that are like the mom parts, the mom that just wants to keep you safe. You got to go to the dad parts where it's like, yeah, go try, go risk or something.
So builds up then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I allowed myself to think just a little bit, and I was like, e-commerce company, Seektivity, trail-oriented design, coffee shop. Nothing really felt good, but I like the idea of helping a lot of people with a really big problem. And one of the big problems I see that people have is that they don't know what to do. That was one of the original reasons for Seektivity. People just don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
If they could open up an app and see essentially a map of stuff around them, and they realize, oh shoot, here's a gun range, here's a this, there's a party going on here, all this stuff around me. Like I could get out of the house and get into the community and do stuff. But I think that making it just about goals means that it's less about events or physical spaces and more about just stuff to do. Like a goal could be like read 100 books in a summer, or read 100 books in a winter. So you could have like learning goals, achievement goals, lots of different interest type goals. Write a book, make a movie, get more followers on TikTok. not going to say the list is endless, but it's certainly it's so wide that the problem would probably be in creating a consistent structure that would allow for people to do things in a coherent way.
I have a question. We've talked about leveraging AI, and especially if we're going to start spreading it like that, which I think is good. It's more of a target audience. Can you have, like, we looked at a bot that's specifically about the 4-year you, right? Or like an AI that's about 4-year you, and ask questions that structure that and then help you break it down and keeps it within that world. Like, can you have, AI that's for you, that's different from an AI that's for me, from a different AI from somebody else? Granted, like, it's all 4-year you focused, but like they get to know you and your specific goals. Like, is that something that can be done?
Yeah.
So just like ChatGPT can do that, that's something that
Yeah.
shouldn't be.
I mean, it would be ChatGPT. I mean, most likely it'd be just an API over to ChatGPT, and it would get likely scoped down. The context window would be scoped to include things about the user, and like we talked about in the last video, which we didn't record, I guess, but the idea would be that after each session, it would write down to a file, and then at the beginning of each session, that file would be loaded into the context window for the AI, so that they would essentially have like a README file that's stored locally or stored on the server, and then that's basically loaded in for every chat session when they restart.
Okay. Yeah.
That's essentially like one of the best practices for doing like coding with AI, because it can start to get confused over time. So basically, after each session you work with it, you just write it down to like a README file, and then you clear the context window and you start over and you say, read the README file, and then let's go. Maybe in the future they'll think more like humans, but even humans have a context window. We just don't call it that. If I haven't talked to you for 2 years and all of a sudden you like start talking about something, I'll be like, now hold on a second. What is it?
Oftentimes you pick up where you left off, even if it was 2 years ago, right? Hey, how's the family doing? And
Yeah, like Haley from Marine Credit Union was talking to me yesterday at the festival, and she's like, "Do you remember Liz or Liv or something?" And I was like, "Yeah, but not really." I couldn't remember if she was talking about the blonde one or the black-haired one, because then there was the one that worked in the same office as you upstairs, and then there was the blonde one that worked in corporate with me. But one was named Liv and the other one was named Liz. I think Liz is the brown-haired one. But anyway.
I don't know. Yeah, people do have a context window. Question for you. This almost seems like, and maybe it's in my mind because I'm struggling with it, like with my pages for purpose. After I look through it and after I'm thinking more and more about it, I'm like, is pages for purpose the right title for this? And so that's on my mind. So please take this with a grain of salt. But like when we start looking at this app and we start looking at, the following and like, et cetera, right? Is 4-year you the right name for it?
Yeah, I had the same thought. Maybe not.
I don't know.
It's okay to keep it as a code name for right now, but I agree that like if it started going in the direction of being some sort of app that lets you do what we just described, it doesn't sound like 4-year you would still apply. The only thing that comes to mind, which is ridiculous, is like cojunk.com. I don't even know. That's not even a word. Cojunk.com.
We can come up with something pretty creative. I just, yeah. Not today. It doesn't have to be.
I'm not tied to it, tied to 4 year year. It's just sometimes you just gotta have something to get going.
Hmm. Yep. Didn't you tell me that Amazon was thinking something else? Or maybe that was somebody else that told me that.
That must have been someone else.
Yeah. They were thinking something, and then like their attorney that was putting all the paperwork together, they like, what? Is this what you're talking about? And they like pronounced it wrong. And I guess the Amazon guy was like, at that point in time, I knew I needed to change my name because they couldn't figure out how to pronounce my name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I named Cotton Jam that is because it's impossible to misspell it or get it confused with something else. There's no other syllables that could possibly be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, what are some things would you identify as next action steps?
Yeah, big question. Because in my personal life, I'm trying to figure it out, and with the company or project, I'm trying to figure it out. And it could be that is the problem is the solution. In that, when you find yourself, excuse me, when you find yourself wanting to do something different, you're in a new phase in life or whatever, but you don't know what it is. What are the methods or mechanisms you use to figure it out? Like, about a year ago in August, I went through that transition and I knew that the old path that I was on was ending and a new one was beginning, but I didn't know where I was going. And as I'm coming up to a year on that, and I've had a lot of time to think and crystallize and kind of meander a little bit, I'm coming out of this like coasting incubation period. I'm ready to do something. I'm getting ready to do something. And I want whatever that is to be intentional. So I'd like to have some sort of guide, virtual or otherwise, to help me navigate into this new era of my life. Because it's not just the end of a 4 year cycle, it's the end of like a mega cycle. It's the end of uh, it's like it's a 22 year. It's 22 year. I'm at the beginning of a third 22 year cycle. And I know it breaks down from the whole 4 year thing, but it doesn't really matter. The idea is that I'm entering in this like new era in my life that doesn't include women or children or even career, really. It's 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 about some new third thing that I don't have experience with. Just like I didn't have experience with school before I started school. I didn't have experience with being married before I was married. I didn't have experience with having kids before I had kids. And so what does it look like to enter in like to a new season where, like when Frazier left Boston and went to Seattle, he's starting his own show, Frazier. I'm starting the Eric Stoffer show. And what does it mean? So that's why I was seeking out with ChatGPT. I was like, what are some fictional or otherwise examples of people that have been in my same position? So we got to thinking, and we're like, well, it's like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah, he's out in the desert and he has some call to action, but he was preparing all along the way. He was, Joseph, he's rising up the ranks, but preparing for something else. Viktor Frankl went through something, horrible, but was able to come out of that, write a book, and start a whole new method of psychology. C.S. Lewis spent the first third of his life as an atheist, right? And then, look what he did. So, and then Moses, right? He's the 40-40-40. So it's like my 22-22-22. How am I going to spend my third 40? Because I did the wife and Midian time as a shepherd, and now I'm moving into this new period of time, this new call to action where I'm doing something different, where I'm leading people or helping people somehow, some way that I don't yet know. A strong Christian brother might come up to me and be like, "Heck, don't worry about it. Just ask God to give you guidance on what you should do." And while I agree with that, and I am doing that, I believe it's our responsibility to co-labor with God and have our own opinions, because I think God wants us to. He wants us to have our own ideas and do things, and He's certainly influencing us. But we have free will, and there's probably lots of things that, as long as like it's loving, it doesn't go against God's will, and it's not sinning, it's pretty much free reign. Like, just do whatever, like in Genesis, this talks about, go forth and multiply and like take care of the world. And the greatest commandment is love God. The second is love each other. So like, what can we do to love each other as part of this mission that we're doing? And one of the ways that I think that I can love people is by helping them accomplish the things that they say they want to accomplish.
Yeah, I feel like that has been. It's not something that you're wanting to do. That's Eric. Just different way of doing it. It's more people. It's different.
Yeah. So this discussion thus far has been, how can we help people figure out what they want? And I'm the prime candidate. How can I figure out what I want? And I would, I guess, argue in this moment that the method for doing it is by having a partner that can help you figure it out. And the partner could be AI, it could be a coach. Like, it's not something that you can just like have one session and you're done. It's something that unfolds over time as you acclimate to new ideas.
And while we get bigger and bigger, could be a coach, could be AI, could be somebody, just random somebody that has the same interest as them.
Yeah. Let's take a couple archetypes from stories we just talked about. Imagine if Obi-Wan walked right up to Luke and said, "You're going to kiss your sister, you're going to get your hand cut off, you're going to kill your dad.
Good luck, go get him."
The emperor of the whole universe, you're going to kill him too, and he's going to strike you with lightning. It's going to hurt really bad. You're going to have to go through a ton of pain. You're gonna have to make a shot that if you miss, everybody's going to die. All this stuff. If he told him all that stuff in the very, very beginning, the guy would just like crap his pants and run, right?
Yeah.
So there may be some value to naivete. Like, if someone, like, it's like, for example, just take marriage. Like, you know how bad marriage can be and how good it can be. But if you told a guy, like, on the first date, all the bad stuff that's gonna the whole marriage, You're like, man, no thanks. Same thing with like building a business, right? It's like people knew how hard it was, they would never start it. But yet people do it all the time. So how do we balance the good of naivete while still opening up ideas for what they could be?
Yeah. It almost seems like it's a, has to have some sort of element of Audible or library of business books that are bestsellers, blah, blah, because, somebody's, if somebody wants to write a book and they don't know the struggles of like that process, they can read a book about somebody that struggled to write a book. I don't know if a one thing fits all, right? And I like to believe some of the things will fit all, right? There's effort. You can't just sit back on your, if you keep doing everything that you have been doing, you're never going to get to a place where you've never been before, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's conceptual things, but then there's this writing it, making a business, like some of the intricacies when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very, very specific, isolated.
Do you remember that thing they always say about the piano player? About how the girl's playing piano and this guy comes up to her and is like, man, I wish I could play like that. And she says, no, you don't. Because if you did, you would have practiced every day like I did for the last 12 years. So what that highlighted to me when somebody first told me that story was people always get what they want. So it's not about what you're getting, it's about what you're wanting. You can change that, then you can change the outcome. I think compare it to what Paul said about planting seeds. What did Paul say about that?
Man plants seed and waters, but the Lord provides the increase.
Yes, but I was going for what you sow, you reap.
So I'm reaping. Yeah.
Maybe that was Jesus. Was that Jesus or Paul?
It's Second Corinthians, right?
What a man sows, he reaps. I was thinking about it today when I was out on my walk because the guy next to me planted grass seed. Guess what grew?
Grass.
Yeah, weird, huh? He wanted grass. He got grass. I wanted food. I got a big belly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I sought comfort. I got what comfort gives you. People who seek discipline and rigor, you see the fruit of that as well. You can look at someone's body and know what choices they've made, what they desire, right? You can look at the place they live and tell what they desire. You can say what they're wearing, tell what they desire. So let's assume you really love your wife, you really like ice cream. If I said to you today, stop desiring your wife, stop liking ice cream, could you just stop?
My wife, no. My ice cream, yeah.
So is it what I'm suggesting is that there's a lot of entrenchment with desire. Once you like something, it's hard to not like it. But once something you don't yet know you like, it can also be hard to like it at first. Sometimes, like when you first meet a person, or you first start doing a task or start learning a new hobby, you don't like it. But the act of learning things about it and doing it, and getting familiar with it and getting skilled at it or spending time with it lends to like it. It becomes entrenched. There's something about the myelin sheaths in the brain, the neural pathways that get thicker. It seems to be some sort of corollary where wherever your neural pathways are the thickest, that's also the thing you like. So when something's new, there's like liking novelty, but it's not like you can like a TikTok. But I would argue that the reason why you like the TikTok is because it tickled something familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Like even if it's something you've never seen before, it's a style of comedy you like, or it's a type of like weird expression, like somebody's mixing music and playfulness or whatever. They're acting like it's a school play or whatever. I don't know. There's something about it that you like, even if it's something you've never seen before. It's like I like redheads generally, just because I like women with hair for some reason. I think it's in talking just real quick in talking to ChatGPT about it. It appears that like I've started to realize I have red head inside me. That's why I like. I have red. I have black hair, but I'm a redhead, like in me, in my DNA. So now when I see a redhead, I say, "Oh, I'm a redhead." One thing that got me to think about that is like I started searching for redhead in my like Google Photos, and all my kids came up, and all my ex-girlfriends. I was like, "Where's all this redhead coming from? It's coming from me. I'm a redhead, even though I have black hair." So now when I see a redhead, I'm like, "Hey, I'm a redhead. I'm a redhead."
I act just like a redhead does.
So
Yeah.
now, instead of thinking about redheads as being someone I desire, when I see a redhead, I think of someone I think of me.
Interesting.
So I reassociated it back to myself. Like, oh, I'm a redhead too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So next week, if you come online and you've got red hair, that's probably why.
You can't see it. You can see it in that when the light strikes against it.
Yeah.
um,
Well, question for you. With the brain and how it thinks, and when you do a certain something, like you're, more susceptible of that certain same thing. I like to think of it like, I never saw Toyota Tacomas until I started driving a Toyota Tacoma, right? Yeah, there's like a connection there that wasn't, but now it's applicable. So now I see all those connections within my world. And you think something, conceptually is similar to, repetition and exercising those brain waves. And I think of specifically of people's names. I used to think to myself that I was a terrible person, like terrible at memorizing people's names. But then it dawned on me, well, I just run it over and over again in my head. As soon as I start speaking it from my mouth, it only takes 3 times. I just say their name 3 different times during the interaction that I'm having with them, and then I've got it. Like I don't have to try and chew it, chew it, chew it, chew it. Oh, what was it again? Like I just have to say it 3 times, and then I've got it. Do you think, like, is that similarly with like the kind of concept that you were talking about with helping people to be more familiar with the different attributes and skills that they've gotten? Sorry, I'm being distracted here. Yeah.
Well, we're covering a lot of ground here in different areas, but what you're talking about is the reticular activator system at first. That's what you pay attention to. Your brain has to filter information, so it starts to filter based on what it thinks you care about. Kind of like it's a TikTok algorithm for your brain. Right? And then what you're talking about is just repetition, which can build up the myelin sheaths, which think about it like if you have a fat pipe, more electricity can go down it through with less resistance. If you have a narrow pipe, it's more resistance, so it's less likely to go down that pipe. It's like water moving in your brain. It always travels the path of least resistance. So, but there's also this idea. I think it was Cal Newport that talked about it, which the idea that doing things that you don't want to do at first and becoming good at them makes you want to do them.
Mm.
Like there's some job at work where when you first have to do it, you're like, man, this sucks. But then you become good at it, and then you almost like crave it later because you're so good at it. When you do it, it releases dopamine, and you're like, oh yeah, I feel good to accomplish that thing that was really hard. Um, but
Microsoft Word. That was difficult for me at first, and now I definitely prefer Microsoft over Google, over Mac. Like it's the Microsoft suite that I'm familiar with and learn to love.
Yeah.
As an example there.
Yeah. Another angle I was going to go though is that people are highly susceptible when lacking an identity and a vision for their lives. They're highly susceptible to influence. So that's why a mentor or someone they care about can just speak into them. A parent can speak into them, and they can say, "Oh wow, you're really good at cooking. You should be a chef." And that person just thinks, "Oh, I guess I'm a chef. I'll be a chef, or a nurse, or a doctor, or whatever." Because when people speak into you, they're essentially programming you. And unless you have your own ideas for how your life should go, you just follow the lead on someone else's saying what you should do.
Mm-hmm.
Even vacations and stuff, you're like, you know, have an idea, and somebody says, "Oh, well, what about Bayfield up in Wisconsin? You know, up at Lake Superior?" And you're like, "Huh, lacking my own ideas. I guess that is what I will do. I guess I'm going to Bayfield."
Yeah.
It can apply too to people's names. So there's a word for it. I can't remember it, but you're more likely, people named Mark are more likely to get into marketing. People whose last name are Ball are more likely to play a sport professionally.
Mm.
There's like, and you can just look up your name and it'll on ChatGPT and say, based on my name, what is a career that most likely people with my name do? And it'll likely be something you do.
Just the first name or the last name too?
Yeah, either one. It doesn't matter. Like modern is like, oh, you're a leader and a systems builder. Like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, and I noticed that a lot of executives, guys, have a clean shaven face. Like they don't have a beard like you and I do. And I don't know why, but it seems like just a lot of them are, always keep a baby face. They completely shave it.
Yeah. But I think you and I are like innovators. At least me, I'm the guy who goes off in the woods and makes something new so that by the time other people get to the woods, they see something's already established.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so clean shaven people don't do that work.
They don't.
They're the ones who say, all right, now that it's all cleaned up and ready to run, it's pristine, I'll take over now.
Yeah. Yeah.
To that I say, have at it. That's boring. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. More of a hunter versus gatherer, right? It not maybe hunter and gatherer isn't the right words for it. You're blazing the trail while they help people walk down the trail.
Yeah. But coming back to my own problem, eating my own dog food, I'm having trouble figuring out how to create my own desire, have a vision for my own life, because I'm so used to just doing what everyone else tells me to do. Like if somebody came up to me right now and said the exact problem I have, I would be able to help them, but I'm unable to help myself.
I think that's where God comes into play.
Yeah.
Like where you're hitting a wall and you're not sure where the next step is. Like we can brainstorm and collaborate and research and study, and all those things should be done, right? But when it comes to really knowing your next 40 years, your next 22 years, like God knew Moses is going to take people of Israel out of Egypt. God knew that Joseph was going to help during that famine time, right? And he had all that set up. Even before they were born, I'm sure he knew that that was all going to work out the way that it worked out. And I'd like to believe that he has a plan for you too. Plan for me.
Yeah. I think plans, even Jeremiah 29:11. Go look it up right now. Can you look it up?
Yep.
I want you to focus on that word plan, and I think it's plural.
For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope.
Yeah, so that's like basically the mantra verse of For Your You. And the reason why I want to highlight plans is because there's not just one. It's a trend in the Bible, and I've noticed it in my own life. If the Israelites would have acted rightly, and had complete faith in God, they could have marched right into the promised land. That was one plan. But because they didn't act rightly, they didn't have faith, they all had to die before their offspring could go into the promised land. And I've seen that in my own life. It's like I had one path laid out for me, but I disobeyed. I had another plan laid out for me, but I disobeyed. But God doesn't stop giving us plans. He keeps making new plans for us based on our choices, just like he did with the Israelites.
Yeah.
We still have to take him up on those plans. But I think there's hope in that plurality of the word plan there.
I don't think that God wanted Samson to kill himself by freeing those people, right? I think he had a different plan for him. But
yeah,
he used the circumstances, he used his own decisions to still accomplish what God wanted to accomplish.
Yeah. I mean, me and Samson have a very similar problem, big, strong guys taken down by women, right?
Yeah.
It's easy. I mean, there's so many lessons in the Bible, right? Like,
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, what's the proverb? You're the master of proverbs. The one about God, or men make plans and God laughs, or is it God establishes their steps, or maybe those are two different verses, but you get the picture.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I don't recall. I from what you're saying is sounding familiar, but I don't remember the name of it. But
God establishes our steps and God laughs. I think those are both verses about planning. Sometimes he establishes our steps, and sometimes we establish steps and God laughs.
and I don't know about you, but I'd rather be 2 steps behind God than try to be 1 step ahead of God.
I think there's value in being aligned with him, and there's one way to read I think it's Hebrew word for wait on the Lord, like in Psalm 37:5 or 6. It means literally, like, imagine that you are like in a 2-legged race or a 3-legged race with God, and you can't move your right leg unless God moves his left leg.
Mm.
So it means like wait as in walk in step with God. Don't go too far ahead. Don't fall too far behind.
That's good. I'd like to believe that same weight definition is for I think it's like Isaiah 41:30. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a slogan for Asbury, down in Kentucky.
Is it?
Asbury College. Yeah. Makes me think of them. But yeah, ChatGPT recommended that verse to me the other day. So, and lacrosse has eagles. So,
Yeah. So between now and next week, I don't know how much I'll be able to accomplish with baby coming on Wednesday, but I want to continue to be a contributor and someone that can be a part of the next steps, right? So what I've gathered here is to kind of maybe think more of the potential of the different aspects that the 4-year U can offer, right? And I think of like, the setup process, the maintaining, the daily usage, the following and the sharing and the posting pictures or updates or whatever that might be some accountability piece. Maybe between now and next week we chew more on different aspects of that.
short answer is I don't know, but sure.
Okay.
What's becoming all of a sudden clear to me is that I keep thinking that you're me, and I'm now starting to realize you're you.
Yeah.
And what I mean is, like, I keep thinking that you're going to be a mini me and just be a multiple of me, but I'm starting to realize that I need to think about what you're good at or what you want to do. But because what immediately occurs to me is that you're more of a administrator, coordinator, kind of like what you do when you're at church. You're the guy that's like making sure everything's just running right.
Mm-hmm.
Do that at the bank too. And that's just what I see you doing here in the 4-year U. You're kind of just like leading from your position, like in your question, you're essentially saying, what do we need to do? Could we do this or this or this? And one of the while I have one of the roles I have in this project is I'm supposed to be some sort of visionary and innovator and system builder and guide and mentor. But lacking criteria, I just kind of keep meandering. I'll just keep pushing the edges. So one thing you could do is help rein me in as an administrator and just say, okay, we've talked about a lot of stuff. Let's just try to do something and then do it. And then reassess, see where we're at.
Progress every week. Something.
Yeah. Because the only things I can think of are like, well, maybe I'll make web software, or maybe I'll just try to coach some people, or maybe I'll finish the book, or maybe I'll make some social media posts. But I'm not sure any one of those are right or wrong, or too big or too small, or whether to even do the whole thing or not. So
Yeah.
I'm not directly working on it, but I am indirectly working on it. And one of the ways I'm indirectly working on it is by working on myself. Essentially applying the 4-year U to myself and trying to do it. But so what? For what? To what end? At some point, the rubber has to meet the road or get out. Mixing my metaphors, but you get what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We need to serve the pudding and stop just stirring the pot.
That's mixing two metaphors too, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the one about going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So can you just think about that and then
Yep.
let me know what your thoughts are after you've ruminated on it while you're sitting there in the hotel? I mean, the hospital.
Yeah, yes, definitely. And I thank you. I thank you for calling out that we're different, right? I I'm a helping hand, right? I may not be Moses, but I'm definitely one that will help lift Moses's hands to win the battle. I don't.
You're Aaron, right?
Yeah, I like being in that position. I won't though take people's earrings and make a calf. That I won't do.
I know something interesting in the Bible the other day that Aaron and Moses both named one of their kids the same thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like a slight misspelling, a slightly different spelling, but yeah, the same name.
interesting. Huh. Yeah, I'm sure they were pretty close. But yeah, I can think on that. And please know, Eric, that I'm very, very, very much a flexible. If you say to me, Dan, you're terrible at YouTube videos, stop making them. Like you're not gonna hurt my feelings. And whether it's YouTube videos or any other aspect, like I just want to hold up the arms, and get out of the way, like and be a part of it. But like I want to make sure that your face is on the book, right? I want to make sure that that's what my goal is. So any way I can help my friend with that.
I appreciate that, but I conversely, I'm thinking about that. We need to start thinking about building a team.
Mm-hmm.
And one way to build a team is to cast a vision that other people want to be a part of. And if we're telling other people about it and they're not saying they want to be a part of it, then that means we keep crafting a vision until people do say they want to be a part of it.
It's just a matter of defining what those things are beforehand, or would you like to onboard and then define what those things are?
Well, I think just like you're telling people about the 4-year you, if you're telling people about it and they don't give a crap, then it's not a good idea.
I like the way you think. The passion there first. Yeah.
But if we keep turning the dial and people are like, oh yeah, I'd actually do that, that's when I know. It's kind of like getting product market fit
Mm-hmm.
or customer. It's called customer development is the broader term.
Customer development.
Do customer development until you get product market fit. So you keep telling people about the idea until they get mad at you if they can't buy it.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. Until
All right.
next. Talk to you.
See you, sir. Bye.